Listeners, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues and friends, we're back again, and on this particular podcast we've got the privilege of somebody who's travelled many, many, many air miles. It's Wilson Kwong, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Hactel, which is the Hong Kong Air Cargo Terminals Limited. Wilson, welcome, my friend.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Chris.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, Wilson, I'm just going to ask you, and before I do, and we'll get back to it a little bit later on, but there's a very interesting story about you wanting to be a weatherman.
Yes.
And that one of your heroes was Michael Fish.
Yes.
So coming from the UK, I'll be able to explain to you later how Michael Fish was most definitely not my hero. But we'll do that later. So what made you or what convinced you to come onto the podcast, Wilson?
Okay. Well, what made me convinced to come to the podcast? It's you, of course.
Oh, okay. Well,
I heard you are hosting it. So, of course, when I get the invite, it's a must-join event.
Is that right? Well, I really appreciate that, Wilson. I hope you feel the same way at the end. Now, listen, just in that response,
Sure.
What a wonderful British accent. How did that come about?
Well, I had the privilege of studying in the United Kingdom when I was 14. So I spent 8 years studying there.
And
So
whereabouts?
I was in Leeds for 5 years. And then eventually I ended up doing an economics degree in London.
Okay, very good. So where's the accent? Where did you pick that one up?
Where's the accent? I don't know. I
can't think that it was Leeds.
Well, I think my northern accent have long gone. I think probably, but I think I don't know. Is this still a very proper British accent? I'm not sure.
Well, compared to mine, it's fantastic. Yeah. Listen, whereabouts in Leeds were you? Were you near the cricket mecca?
No, I was in a place called Pudsey, where they it's between Leeds and Bradford. I was in a Moravian church school, Fullneck, which is a very small school, but a great school. So 5 very happy years there.
Okay, brilliant. How often did you get back home when you were there?
Twice a year.
Ooh, that's a tough one, huh?
It was tough. I mean, considering that I was 14 when I was in the UK.
And did you play any sports when you were there? Did they introduce you to rugby or cricket or
Rugby and cricket? But unfortunately, I'm not a very good sportsman.
No. You've got other skills. And we'll come to that weather later
Sure,
on.
of course.
Now, Wilson, how did you actually get into this particular industry?
Okay. I started off my career with Jardine Matheson Group in 1998, right from college. So my first job was actually with Jardine Airport Services, which is a ground handling agency in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So I started my career at the airport. And in fact, my first job, I still remember, as a duty manager trainee, I have to go through all the departments on all the operational roles. And I was a check-in agent for British Airways and Air China, among many others. And over the next 2 years, and that was since 1998, I did many different roles, whether it's check-in, with baggage services, with low control, flight operations, and so on. Eventually end up as a duty manager. So that was my introduction to the industry.
But it's great what Jardine's actually does, like an apprenticeship.
Yes.
And a very, very close and very lovely friend of mine, obviously, you know Mark.
Yep. Huge respect for him.
Yeah, and God bless him, who passed away. I always used to joke with him that he was like a piece of British rock, and it was shorter, it was stocky, but when you cut it, it had Jardines written inside it, and he was so proud of the stocky bit of rock, as I used to call him. But I think you're a chip off the same block, huh?
Well, I'm looking at you now, and my eyes say, well, great. It's a great description. Yeah, and I'm proud of that too.
Yeah, and so and I think I admired everything because we went through one night. We were in the it's the yacht club, isn't it? The British yacht.
The Royal Yacht Club. Yeah,
Royal Yacht
that's
Club.
right.
What a beautiful place.
Very.
We're playing snooker, and he was explaining to me his background. We had such a great time there.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you took over in a different set of circumstance. Okay, yep. And one of the first things that happened after you took over from Mark, obviously, was poor Mark's demise. But Hactel, as I know Hactel, it's got such huge, compassionate levels, and some of the things that they do with the staff. One thing I'm so impressed with is every time there was an award or every time there's something special, you always send people from all parts of the business to celebrate and receive the rewards. And why is that sort of culture now so prominent and so important in your business?
Well, I think one sentence would describe that, because Hactel's success is only because of our colleagues, our 2,300 of them or 2,400 of them. Yeah. We are here because of them. And it's only right that whenever we get an award, that they are the one who are being recognized.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
No, it's beautiful. But there's, I remember talking to some of the guys that were leaving the company, and cause I've been going to Hacktail. I'm trying to think now.
Many times, you know the place more than I do.
No, yeah. But the first time I went there, it's got to be. I'm trying to think now. Maybe 20 years ago.
All right. Okay.
Maybe I think. Yeah, probably. But the one thing I was given the privilege of having some dinner with some of the guys who were leaving the company. And they were explaining that that Hackton actually provided retirement support and what to do and how to open your horizons and stuff. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think as with many companies, I think in Hong Kong, and certainly before the mandatory provident fund comes onto line, we have our own retirement scheme. So we do look after our colleagues well. Okay, now of course with the mandatory provident fund, everyone in Hong Kong is kind of like brought to the level playing field. Yeah. But I think, looking after the financial well-being is one thing. But we do also provide the necessary training or, the preparations for them to go into retirement. Our colleagues these days, I think, have many options. I think one of them is to extend their tenure with the company. Yeah. And we do have many people who do that because these days, retirement age 60 is actually 60 is very young. Yeah. 60 is very young, and many of them actually have the ability to work a lot longer. The company does have this option, and on a mutually agreement basis for colleagues to extend. But if they don't want to, that's also okay. Yeah. So before their retirement, we'll have classes and all that, teaching them the importance of financial planning, financial management, how to develop interest, because you have to have something to keep you going post-retirement and so forth. I'm very proud. I mean, coming into the company and looking at how the company looks after our long-serving colleagues. 3 weeks ago, we had our long service award dinner, where colleagues of 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40 years of service get a gold medal. We do that every year. And this year, I remember I was giving out awards, the medals for some 150 people. Last year, the first year I joined Hactel, I was giving out the gold medals for 170 people.
My goodness.
Now, for a company with 2,400 people, you just think about, the number of people who have long service. And it says a lot about the company.
Yes, definitely.
And you can only do that if, the company provides the right environment and to look after them. Yeah. So I'm very proud to be, part of the team.
Yeah, and it's got it must be one of the best and biggest staff canteens or restaurants I've ever seen.
Well, one of my favorite places to eat as well.
Yeah, no, it's
well, we just recently renovated it.
Yeah.
So right now I'm actually promoting it across to everyone. We have Chinese restaurant, we have the Western restaurant. All right, granted, it's a canteen. It can't be compared to a Michelin star, restaurants or hotel. But, it's very functional, and each day we serve over 3,000 meals.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Absolutely amazing. Now, when you came into the air cargo side, what surprised you? What were the first few things that surprised you that, maybe you weren't expecting?
Well, in a way, I come back to the air cargo industry like coming home. The reason is I started my career with the airport, with Hong Kong International Airport anyway. And during my stint with Jardines, I actually have worked, a little while at the office in Super Terminal 1, which is, where Hactel is. Yep. So to me, environment is definitely very familiar. The people, a lot of the airlines are very familiar as well. Okay, so perhaps what was a little bit surprising, we do have a lot of paper going around, the building and the industry as a whole. And I think that's something which we can all work together to improve.
Yeah, okay, that's... No, it is. It's not the best by any means. I've got the pleasure of working on panels and working with Chi Hong.
Yes,
and personally, I think he's one of the best there is. He's an absolute gentleman. He's so professional in what he does. How many people made a big impact on you when you first came into the company?
Well, to be honest, I think I'm very blessed with a very good senior management team. I mean, Chi Hong, as you mentioned, our COO, knows a lot about the operations. I mean, even though he started off as IT on the IT side of it. We have a great executive director in charge of commercial, Vivian.
Yeah, no, Vivian as well.
Yeah, that's right.
She's here as well.
Three of us are here, so you see the three of us in many industry events. Yeah. We have a great finance director, Amy. Yeah. And many others who work in the top team who has actually been with the company for quite some time. Yeah. So great people.
No, it's good. And when we're talking about people now, who mentored you when you first came in? Is there anybody you'd like to recognise, to name?
You mean at Hacto or
any stages? Just people who genuinely, like, you'd look back now and you'd say, do you know something? They've improved me. They've helped me. They've inspired me.
Yeah, I've had many mentors, I think, at different stages, because I started my career with Jardine Airport Services, and certainly one of my mentors at those days is Albert Falk, who...
Sorry?
Albert Falk.
Sorry, I was just going to think we might have had to bleep that one, but it's Falk.
Yes, F-O-K. Yes, it is.
F-O-K.
And he was the general manager and the managing director of Jardine Airport Services, subsequently Jardine Aviation Services. So, and throughout my next 20 years, I have had the great pleasure of many good bosses. So each one of them are mentors.
And you want to name anyone in particular and why?
Wow. If I name all of them, it would take me an hour.
It's just somebody that comes to mind and a particular reason.
Well, I wouldn't, because I want to, I think a lot of them, are in my heart and in my head.
And they know who they are, huh?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I won't push you too far.
They do.
And as far as mentoring is concerned, do you see yourself as a coach, as somebody who likes to mentor people?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's only fair and right for someone who have been benefiting from being coached or being mentored to coach and mentor others. Yeah. So if the right opportunity comes up, of course I would. Yeah. And I think in Jardines we do have a scheme where senior management colleagues would mentor people. So I do currently have 2 mentees who are management trainees.
Okay, that's good. And how much time do you put into that? A week or a month?
We'll meet, I suppose, once every quarter, and then if there are things can be done through emails or phone calls away.
Oh, no, but that's nice. That's nice. Right, we've got to get back to the weather.
Absolutely.
So here we are in Madrid with absolute beautiful weather.
Very nice weather.
Okay, what you'd expect. Now, the Michael Fish story, and I'm sure you know the famous story.
The Great Storm of 1987.
Correct. And the forecast.
Yes.
So now, why on earth did you want to aspire to be the next Michael Fish?
Well, I want to be a weatherman. Okay, and the reason I want to be a weatherman is because weather is so unpredictable.
Bit like our business, huh?
Absolutely, yeah. But I think weather is probably more unpredictable than cargo. I think certainly with climate change and all that, but we won't go into that. But I like to try out new things. I like to have that challenge of forecasting weather for the betterment of the people. A bit like what we do in air cargo, of course. We ship all these shipments, every day, touches on everyone's life. But I just love it. I just love the weather. So, those days when I was a student, I would be watching the BBC weather forecast and all that, and felt, all right, okay, one day, if I get that job, how would I do, right? So, yes, in a way, I know about Great Storm 1887, but I didn't say I want to be the next Michael Fish. I want to be a weatherman. But it was then, when after I did my A-levels, when it comes to choosing my degrees, and there are, interestingly, I think a Bachelor of Meteorology available.
I was thinking of doing that myself.
Yeah, well, there is, and University of Reading offers that. Great degree, I'm sure, because I did look at it. But then my dad, actually, when we were talking about it, one night, and he said, great choice, son. But how many scientific officers do they take in at the Hong Kong Observatory each day? I said, all right, okay, I think that's a fair point. That even today didn't actually reduce in any way my interest on meteorology or the weather. Yeah. I just thought that, okay, I understand that, one has to choose a degree which one likes to. but at the same time, can find your job as well. And I was, 18? I think, all right, okay, that has a point. So eventually, I ended up applying for a degree, a management degree at the London School of Economics, and then eventually switched to economics, again for the same reason. That was a good challenge.
Yeah.
For someone who has never done economics ever in his life, well, why not do an economics degree at a university which is famous for economics degree? Go for it.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously things went well.
Very lucky, very lucky.
So let me ask you, did you used to practice in front of the wall as if it was like a green screen with the where the weather was, where the clouds were coming and from the east and the precipitation?
No, but I did wonder how they did it though. I did wonder, right? Because they were basically, as you rightly said, in front of a green wall. And I was saying, how do they know which way or which side, they will put their hands? I don't know. I mean, now if I have a chance, I will still probably go back, to do that. Why not? Go for it.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something now. With the forecasting, right, and if you think about the way things are, how did they get it so wrong?
How did they get it so wrong?
Yeah.
Because I think there are still limitations. However advanced computing technologies may be, there will still be variants which cannot be accounted for, and as a result, could lead to variations in forecast.
Yeah.
Now, that was the 80s, right? I mean, if one looks at it from 2019, I think the accuracy of forecast have improved a lot. I mean, you look at the Met Office in the UK, you look at the Hong Kong Observatory in Hong Kong, I think the level of accuracy have improved drastically.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. And also, wherever you are, you can make your plans pretty confidently.
I agree.
Just get on the old phone and see what's going on.
Yes, which we weren't able to do that, 20 years ago.
No, exactly. Children.
Yes.
So you've got two children, Edwin and Ellie.
Yes.
Okay.
Lovely kids.
And Evelyn, your wife.
Yes.
So what's the significance of the letter E?
Oh, my wife chose them.
Yeah.
Well, as you very rightly spotted, so when we had our first kid, my wife said, all right, okay, we want to have a letter E. I said, sure, no problem, right? And then we came up with the name Edwin. And then when we had our daughter, again, same discussion. I said, should we have someone with W, and
Wilson.
Yeah, well, exactly. I thought, well, there are many good names with, girls' names, which starts from W. But, on these things, you listen to the wife. So, so eventually is Ellie. So we have in our household Wilson and, one W's and three E's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a long way.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. No, I've got a niece called Ellie.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, lovely.
It's Nelly, right? It's,
no.
It's Ellie as well.
No, my granddaughter is Nelly.
Ah.
But I've got a niece called Ellie.
Right. Okay.
A lovely girl.
I will tell her that.
She's a diamond.
I will tell my my daughter that.
Yeah. No. Good name. Now, what would you do, or what would you think you would do if you weren't doing what you were doing now, and you couldn't be a weatherman?
If I couldn't be a weatherman,
yeah,
I'll probably be a teacher, I think.
Yeah. And what lessons? What's
subject?
The topic? What subject?
Well, I've always wanted, and I think many friends know this. My ultimate goal is to teach in business schools.
Okay.
Yeah, and that I've got a story to tell. I mean, I did my MBA in 2002 to 2004, and we had a professor which had a very successful business career, and then was teaching in the university. Okay, I thought, oh, great, and of all the cover pages of all his notes, he would have his name, and then there would be a bachelor degree and an MBA and a JD, which is a Juris Doctor, a law degree. And I thought, great, that's what it takes, for you to teach in business schools. And that's what I duly did. So I did my MBA, and eventually I had my JD, just because
very impressive.
I want to teach in business schools. So eventually I would want to do that. Now, if I didn't go into Jardines, I think I could have been teaching, probably teaching management, teaching economics. I could be economics forecaster, an economist. I don't know, quite interesting.
But don't you think the best thing that you've got, irrespective of the MBA, the JD, etc., is the practical experience and the realities of running a big business like you've got?
Yes.
And if I was back learning and looking to people, one of the questions I'd always be asking is, what have you done?
Yep.
And what did you do wrong? And what are you teaching me from your experience?
Right. From Hector or from...
No, I'm just saying, if that was me and somebody was telling me that, you know, I'm going to teach you now all about business,
Absolutely.
I'd want to know what they actually did.
Yes.
Because when I look around now, and especially in politics, I find such a mess, and there's people who are giving advice and giving their opinions, and all they're doing is demonising each other instead of actually working for a common goal. And I think also, you know, when you're learning and when you're first setting out in the world, you want to see people who've actually made mistakes, who've got the experience and the confidence to actually tell you why it was a mistake and how to avoid it, or how to prepare yourself for it, or what to do when it hits you without any expectation, like the 87 hurricane.
Absolutely.
Now, in Hactel, risk assessment, business continuity and contingency.
Yep.
How far advanced would you say you are in comparison to the rest of the industry?
Well, we do have, and we spend a lot of time and effort and resources into our ERMs, our enterprise risk management.
Yep.
And we take pride of that, because I think for us it's a mission critical infrastructure. And, you know, for us, we can't afford stoppage. We can't afford outages.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, does that put us, you know, with all the efforts which my team and I put in, does it put us ahead of the game? Maybe, but I would like to think that we always have room for improvement. Yeah. And I think that's something which I've always stressed on the team. Yeah. We may have 43 years of experience of running cargo terminals, and we have, because, you know, Hactel started off operational in January 1976. Yep. But yet, we are still learning, and we can't stop learning.
But isn't that a wonderful thing? When organisations and people realise that every single day is an opportunity to learn something new.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, you know, whereas, you know, in certain areas, certain cultures, people don't know what they don't know. And I think that's very dangerous. But people who want to know and want to learn, that's a fantastic environment to work in. Now, Hong Kong, I've also had the pleasure of being up in your control room and looking out, and it's one of the most incredible sights anybody could ever see, especially if people are interested in aircraft and seeing what goes on the ground and everything. Yep. Do you want to share a few facts with people so they know the size of your operation, they know what you're doing, the number of carriers, etc.?
Well, absolutely. I think let me just start with Hong Kong as a whole. I think Hong Kong has had the privilege of being the world's busiest air cargo airport for 9 consecutive years. So basically, you know, last year we handled 5.1 million tons as in Hong Kong International Airport of cargo and mail, of which Hactel handled 1.7 million of it. Okay. Now, Hactel as an organization or as a terminal, we are the largest multi-story cargo terminal. Well, I think right now, I think I can still say that, in the world.
In the world, yeah.
In the world. I've been giving this, you know, tagline, and I still believe it's true, because I think in a lot of places, you know, cargo terminals are basically single story, huge footprints, because land is not a big concern. But I think for Hong Kong, where land is scarce, I think everyone has to go, you know, higher up, and that's what we have done. I mean, we have been running Super Terminal 1 since the move up to Czech Lapcock in 1998, and we have over 100 customers. Well, basically across all the continents of the world, and we do that by having 2,400 people who work day and night, not just managing the building itself, or just by building up cargo or breaking down cargo, but by running and maintaining our in-house developed IT system, which we call COSAC Plus in its current iterations. So we do that, and I think, you know, for us, we take pride of setting some records. I mean, which we share, you know, with people. For example, I think one day in 2017 we handled 102 freighters. In one day, within 24 hours period. Well, I know that, you know, some people say, well, really, 102? Yes, we did that. And, you know, our team really put in a lot of efforts, make sure that everyone's aircraft get taken care of very safely, securely,
Yeah.
and off they go. And yeah, I think this is what Hector does.
Oh, no, and it's very impressive. And I've got to say, it's one of the, if somebody said to me, where would you like to send somebody just to learn a little bit about the business, and albeit it's a very different business in Hong Kong because of the high volume of pre-builts that come in from the forwarding community.
Exactly.
But irrespective, I would always put them in the top 3 for somebody to go and see around the world.
Right.
From culture, from management interaction, from the efficiencies. It's a wonderful, seriously, it's a wonderful company.
Where will the other 2 be?
The other two, I haven't had them on the podcast yet.
Ah, okay.
So if I was to say so now,
Yep.
I'm sure I'd get an influx of offers to come back onto the podcast. But seriously, I'll tell you offline afterwards.
Tell me offline. The reason I asked is I wanted to learn.
You're different. You're all different. So yours is one size of business. There's another one that's a very small company. That learnt hugely from a disaster that they had.
Right. Okay.
So their terminal got burnt down, and then they adopted a totally different concept to how they wanted to control their building.
Sure.
And they learnt so much from that. And then there's another organisation that's across many different locations, and the reason I would put them is because they're able to streamline, simplify, and replicate best practices across all of the locations.
All right. Okay.
So it's all different categories.
Yes.
The other 2 will be on.
All right.
So
okay.
I will send you a mail when,
and look forward to
and then you'll be able to listen to them. Now, let me ask you another question now. As far as balancing your time and family, so obviously with 2 children and Evelyn, you need to spend a little bit of time. If I was to bump into Evelyn now in a restaurant and you just were somewhere else, and I said, Evelyn, what would you like Wilson to change? What do you think she'd say?
Oh, interesting. Well, I wouldn't know. You better ask her.
No idea? Would she say you work too hard, too long hours?
Well, I think she would say all that. But I think she also knows that that's my work philosophy.
Yeah.
And I think, for me, it's always been the case where, if I don't commit to something, it's okay. But if once I committed, I give it 120%.
Yeah.
And I believe that's important.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's ironic because the consistency in the people that we've had on, and when you ask them, they all seem to say the same thing.
Right.
But they all say that their families knew that, and that's the sort of the DNA that they've got, and the commitment and the time investment. So it's also something I think which is important for young people coming into the industry. It doesn't mean it's right that you want to be a CEO, and it doesn't mean it's wrong that you don't want to. But everybody needs to find their own place and balance what you can commit to and what you expect back. And then not worry about the cross-bordering of I wish or I wonder or why not me, etc. So a lot of it is what you want and how you want to spread your time.
Yeah.
Now, youngsters coming into the industry.
Yes.
Do you think the industry is sexy enough? Do you think people know enough about it? Do you think we should be doing things a little bit better to bring in, real good talent? What do you think?
Well, let me tell you another story. I think, before I joined Hector, I was with an engineering company, again, within the Johnny Matheson Group, which is Johnny Engineering Corporation. And, in that business, we do engineering, but we touches on a lot of facets of, in life. And then one of the things which I always tell my colleagues is, we do a lot of things with water treatment services and drainage, treatment, drainage services.
Yep.
And many of these plants, are, and they have improved over time, but one thing which is a common, issue in that industry is smelly. All right?
Yeah.
So when I come into Hector, and when everyone says, oh, this industry is not sexy, I just thought, why not sexy? Because, I come from an environment where, can you imagine yourself working in a sewage treatment plant where, you can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can smell it. But yet it's serving a very important role in society, to air cargo terminal where we are doing the same, but, without the smell. Okay, people say, well, some of the perishables, may give you some smell and all that. But to be honest,
They shouldn't do.
well, they shouldn't. I mean, if they are nicely packed and all that, which, majority they are, almost all they are. But I just think that this industry, is not sexy. I mean, I don't know what defines sexiness. Is sitting in front of a Bloomberg terminal in a trading floor more sexy than working on a ramp, looking after the turnaround of a 747 freighter? Well, it just depends on what the youngsters' views or the individuals' views are these days. But to me, I think air cargo industry has a lot of things to be proud of, for ourselves, and because we do a lot of things, which benefits everyone,
and touching everybody across the world.
Absolutely.
In one way or another.
Yeah,
we had one gentleman who we asked him about customer experience and customer service.
Yes,
and we said, "What does losing a bag mean to you?"
Losing a bag.
A bag,
right?
So now, if let's transfer it into cargo now. What does losing any cargo mean for you?
Well, we shouldn't.
I can see where the economics degree went. Yeah, appreciate that one. Yeah.
Well, no. Economics degree will say it depends. But I think it means a lot, because I think what is a role of a cargo terminal operator?
Yeah.
I mean, I ask myself this question. It is basically to process all the cargo, whether inbound, import or export, on the most safe and secure basis in the most efficient manner. And if you do it well, none of the cargo should go lost, should go missing. So, if we do have cargo go missing, it means a lot.
Yeah, no, good that you said that. And how do the staff take it? The reason I'm saying it is because we went into a discussion and it was stated that bag could contain Christmas presents, birthday presents.
It could be anything.
A wedding dress.
Yes.
Important documentation. Just things that meant so much to an individual, or special clothes to go out to an event. So it would have affected somebody's life just by losing it. So he wanted his staff to appreciate that and to put themselves in that position. So to make them focus more and to care more about what was happening with everything that they did. And I think that's so important now.
I agree.
And your training, do you want to expand a little bit on your training academy and the way you do your training for all your staff?
Yeah. I mean, we do have a very comprehensive training program. I think from the moment they joined Hector, and I hope they don't, but, to the time they leave, right? Because not just the induction training are important, but it's also all the refresher training and so forth. But I think one philosophy is very important, and going back to your point, Chris, I think every piece of cargo means something to someone. Whether it is a shipment of phones, whether it's a shipment of toys, whether it's a shipment of shoes or whatever, or human remains, even take it to the other extent, it all means something. So we always tell, or we always encourage our colleagues to think that, each shipment is like their own shipment.
Yeah.
And if you have that mentality, I think, you will do well. Now, of course, training isn't just about, philosophical, you have to handle it well and all that. I mean, we supplement that, not just by, in classroom training. We have a lot of, training using technology. We have VR, in place, for our loading colleagues. And we do a lot of, on-job, training and rotation as well. But all in all, it is about creating an environment or an atmosphere which they know, they believe, and they can preach to everyone that, every single piece of cargo, whenever they go through Hector, is important.
Yeah, and they also feel proud of what they're doing.
Of course, yeah.
No, exactly. Now, vacations. Where would your most popular vacation be?
Popular.
You and the family. Where's the best memory you've had recently on a holiday with the family?
Well, I've been taking my family to the UK a few times. For 2 consecutive years.
It was where it all began, eh?
Not Leeds. Well, but I did take them to London, and did take them to my university. But I think whether it's taking them to London or to Paris or to Asian destinations, we recently went to Beijing, just to have a walk at the Great Wall and all that. I think it is the time we spent together that is important. It is less about the place. It is more about the time, because, well, as kids grow up, they do things differently. So, now my kids are 11 and 9, so great age where, they want to be together.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely age. And it's also one where you can influence them, you can control them a little bit. 11-year-old Edwin's getting a little bit close, but
I think these days that age threshold is being lowered all the time.
Yeah. And what about restaurants? Any special restaurant you and your wife go to in Hong Kong?
In Hong Kong, we are blessed with so many
exactly
restaurants. But I think in Hong Kong, I do like Chinese food and so Chinese, there will be some recommendations, and of course on the Western front, some others as well. If you come to Hong Kong, we did.
Remember we went. I was going to ask you what was that location? Remember we went to the.
Yes, that was in Tuen Mun. And I hope you enjoyed the seafood.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, we picked the fish, and
yes,
it was incredible.
Well, you get this not just in Tuen Mun. There are a few places where they do that as well. In some places they scare people. You have to pick the fish and all that, but it just reassures you how fresh they are.
Yeah. No, it was that was excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Hong Kong has a lot of great restaurants, so come more often and help the economy and help the tourism there.
That's it. Give a plug for Hong Kong. And another little question for you. Now, I said to you that I would try and come up with a title of a book for you.
Sure.
Just a bit tongue in cheek, bit of fun.
Yeah.
But now, do you read much now?
Currently, not much. I think in my current role it is very busy. So I've yet to find time, to go back to my reading habits. But I do read a lot of journals and magazines and all that. And one wouldn't dwell on it. But I'm looking forward to your title of the biography.
And have you got any idea what you'd like to name it?
No, I want to listen to you first. I think something, you name it, something relating to the weather or something,
Pretty good guess. And now just another thing. Lots of people say, I'd really wish I'd have done this, or I'd like to do that in the future. Do you have a bucket list? Do you have any unusual things that you'd like to do?
I would like to do. Yeah. Well, I think top of my list now would be to go back to business school and teach.
Which I think is definitely going to happen, huh?
Yes. That's why I know I would not regret that, because I know that it would happen. It will not happen now.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy my job.
Yeah.
I believe Hector is helping to make a difference.
Yeah.
Not just to the industry, but to our colleagues, and to Hong Kong. I believe we are making all the right differences, and we are here to be, to further improve and further enhance, that experience for everyone. For me, eventually I will teach, and I want to contribute more.
And what do you want to teach?
The community.
What do you want to teach?
I want to teach in business school.
You do, yeah?
Yes.
And any particular area or any particular, tactical or strategical element?
Well, I think anything to do with general management, I would very much like it. Yeah, because I think now the reason why I don't come up with a title or a specific subject is that by the time when I teach, if I've got that chance, a lot of things will have changed. Yeah. And, I think for me, the challenge is how to keep myself up to date and, so that I can interact better and inspire better the future generation. Not just to tell them that cargo is and can be sexy, but there is a route, to senior management in air cargo and other industries.
Yeah, and it's just funny you're saying that, because I was talking to another colleague, and we were talking about if we were to introduce a training, not like an academy, but a training platform for the industry with key companies. So it would be the chance for the companies to identify people that they felt had the opportunity to become, line managers or middle managers or potential senior managers, but also for individuals who felt that they would love to subscribe to it. And we were thinking of doing that, so that we did a session once a month, but we also gave them an interactive exercise that they had to do in a different company within a different part of the industry, so that they got used to everything. But we were looking at things like, how do you how do you make sure that you make the right first impression? So if you're in a management position like yourself, there's lots of your managers who are saying, oh, you know, Ted's good, Chris is good, Charlie's good. But how do you know they're good? And what makes you actually think, I'm going to endorse this particular person? So we're trying to teach them the way to handle yourself when you've made the decision that you would like to be a manager. Because once you make that commitment, as you said, it's one that you can't just walk away on, because if you do, the fall is quite drastic and quite quickly.
Yes.
Now, would you be interested in teaching a few things there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if, given the right chance and
as a guest, I think lecturer or whatever.
Yeah. If they're the right, the right topic, and I have the time, absolutely. Why not? Yeah. It's about contributing to the society.
Yeah, exactly. Good. But I think sometimes, sometimes youngsters, they don't get that sort of a chance. And if they're given the opportunity to soak up as much from people that have had the opportunities or been in certain positions, it's something that they should never turn away.
Of course. Absolutely.
Okay, good. So I'll definitely note that one down.
Sure.
Now, before we finish, is there anything you'd like to ask me?
Oh, ask you?
Yeah. Anything you want to ask me?
Oh. Anything I haven't answered? I don't know.
No. There's nothing you haven't answered, because there's no set
no
script
questions.
or no questions, or it's just no. It's good. And again, coming back to the reason for doing it, it's nice to get to know people behind positions.
I agree.
And it's also what I'm getting a feel for now is it's nice to get validated trends of success and commitment from people who care.
Yes.
And that's one of the most important things that I'm getting, because a friend of mine, when we started this with Salem, he provided the professional guidance, and we were the more subjective and emotional what's the reason for this. But it now, seriously, it validates my ideas way back then, that certain people have certain traits, and that's what makes them survivors. It makes them winners. It makes them people that inspire others. It's their role models, their coaches, but they all seem to have similar and certain traits. They speak differently. They come from different areas. They've got different ages, but they all genuinely believe in certain criteria.
All right, okay.
And what we're just trying to do is bottle it, box it, record it, whatever, so people can actually take note, listen, and think to themselves, do I believe in all of those things? Could I say those things? Could I carry out those things? Could I do those things? Would people listen to me? Would they believe me? And that's one of the main reasons for doing it. So there's no scripts.
All right.
There's no hidden agenda.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do after we consolidate and have a little feedback is we're going to do certain subject matter.
I agree. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, we'll do a series on safety. We'll do a series for the benefit of everybody to learn from people that are doing it really well.
Yeah, I think sharing and learning from each other is very important. Definitely, I strongly endorse that. And by meeting a lot of people, which I think this platform is great. I mean, you are basically doing this is like a management course on its own, because you are getting the traits, as you said, of all the relevant people, I think, in the industry, who are all wanting to make this industry even better.
Yeah.
I think that commitment is always there.
Yep.
My take on leadership is quite simple. I think as leaders, I mean, I go back to my very earlier point, about coming into Hector with 2,400 people. My role, and I'm just part of the team, but my role is to create the necessary scaffolding. Now we're in Asia, so we,
I've seen the scaffolding in Hong Kong.
You have, yes, and they're all bamboos and all that. Well, safety standards have much improved, over the years. But we are here to create the scaffolding so that each and every one of our colleagues can climb up the scaffolding very safely. Safety is important. But yet they can fly. They can shine. In their own right. Whether they are cargo handler, whether they are duty manager, whether they are general manager.
Yeah.
This is my role. I mean, this is my role coming into Hector.
Yeah.
And so far, 1 year and a bit into my job, I'm enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah. And
just like the weather.
Yeah. And that's also a trait. Every single one of the people who's got the same types of style and values and whatever you want to call it, purpose, they're engaged, but they all genuinely enjoy what they're doing.
Yeah.
And again, to anybody who's listening, any youngsters who want to come into the business, it doesn't matter what position you come in at. It doesn't matter what position you aspire to. The most valuable asset you've got is your time. And if you're not enjoying what you're doing with your time, do something different and do it very quickly.
Yeah.
Don't waste any time.
Fully agree.
I've enjoyed the time, Wilson. Absolutely
thank you.
fantastic.
Chris,
the title of the book I've put down is You Never Know When a Hurricane is Coming. And
I like that.
And I think it's a little bit of your character and style as well. So it's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me again. Thank you.
No problem. And I look forward to seeing you professionally and personally. And now, just before we close, is there anything you'd like to offer to anybody who's listening who might want to get in touch with you? How would they do so? What's the best way?
Well, I mean, any listeners are welcome to come to Hong Kong. You know, Hong Kong is a great place. You know, whether you're a tourist or whether you're coming, for work. Well, I can be contacted. Just email me. My email is wilson.kwong@hactal.com. So
very
just
good.
email me.
Very good. And the last and final thing I'm going to ask you now.
Yep. Sure.
Okay. If I asked Evelyn, what is the record that would get you up out of a chair no matter where, what would it be?
Get me the record.
Yeah, get you up dancing, boogie, loosening up a little bit, going for it.
Oh, I think she will probably say never. She has not seen it yet.
And now you've got the chance to give her a little clue. What is the record that makes you just go a little bit crazy? Do the old dad dance?
None so far, really. Very difficult question.
Wilson, it's got to be something. It's got to be something.
Honestly, I don't know.
What tickles the ivories of the weatherman? Come on.
Oh, well, maybe
Elvis,
Hurricane.
something local.
Probably something local, but even the local songs have not been able to get me up yet. So,
right, what you've got to do for me, you've got to do for me now is you go home, you tell Evelyn I asked you that question.
All right, okay.
Ask her what she thinks.
All right,
and if she's not sure, I want you to sit down. No, I want you to sit down and I want you to play Barry White, You're the First, the Last, My Everything.
All right, okay.
And see the look on her face.
I will remember that.
Then let me know.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Really appreciate it, Wilson.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.